3, 2, 1, here we go. Let's enter the Onstage spaceship.
Onstage, Sean said to chill time. 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 Time and chill.
Yes.
Tonight, we welcome a band called Moonsick to the stage of the Phoenix Theater. Moonsick are from Santa Rosa, California, and they released an album called Encounter earlier this year. One of the best things about Onstage is that we get to keep up with all the good new bands from around here, and this is one of them. Please welcome to the program, Moonsick.
Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Does this band have a space thing?
It's kind of like sort of sideways. I feel like we always kind of we try to sort of aesthetically, I think, push in that direction. But ultimately, we each kind of come up with our own sort of interpretation of that spacey thing. So, I think when Casey brings stuff to the table, when I do, when Tisha does, Miles does, it's all different, but generally sort of encompasses a space theme.
I diz all the time.
His voice is so great on this song.
I can do a lot of things.
Yeah.
It is really good. This is like NPR.
This is a good. This is our friend. He's drumming. And what is your name for the audience?
I'm Miles.
Miles has a good radio voice. You'll hear that as the episode progresses. On the Facebook, you have something about Exogen.
That's not who's.
I don't know who made that. I think
that was me.
it was. I thought it would be. I thought
Miles,
it would be you.
what an opportunity to showcase your voice. Well, why do you like Exogen? Why would you dedicate such a large swath? And might I say, not a lot online about this band. Not very much.
Nah.
Difficult in advance to really get a feel for the personalities because you share so little. But yet, I would say 95% of the written words about this band online have to do with Exogen on the Facebook profile. So Miles, you put it on the profile. What do you like about Exogen, and what is it?
Yeah, Miles. Exogen is a fictional company that I made up. I was trying to fit the space theme one day and decided to make up a bunch of background story. Actually, funny side note is that most of that came from the fact that I was playing Mass Effect at the time. And so I kind of got really inspired to just kind of create a bunch of backstory that was arguably unnecessary.
Okay. Well, let's let the audience be the judge of that. What is the backstory? This is kind of like the fan club episode. So it's like if you love Moonsick, now you get to learn like all of the all the stuff that happens when you're not watching them on stage.
Okay.
So the backstory, anything you want to share with us?
Well, in my mind, at one point we worked for Exogen, and we were just kind of bad at our jobs, and so they let us go.
Is it an earthly company?
It's kind of like Space Rage Against the Machine. Like we got let go, and now this whole band's just like a big middle finger,
Just for context for audience, maybe if you haven't heard of Exogen, this made-up company. Apparently, he's never even shared with the rest of the band.
I don't know what it is.
This is all new to me. I don't know what the hell.
Well, then this will be good for you. Context for you too. This is Exogen stands for Exoplanetary Exploration and Technology.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
That's brought really on the head.
And,
there's a lot going on. Yeah.
And you all were terminated for use of illegal substances in violation of the isolation
yikes.
protocols for level 2 societies. So I have to ask, what is a level 2 society?
I would imagine it's just like here on Earth.
Yeah.
And what does that mean?
Musicians? Well, as far as I know, there's like 3 levels of societies. There's like primitive, pre-use of chemical fuels. Then number 2 is more like our society, where we're able to harness the power of chemicals and the atoms. And then the third being able to harvest suns themselves and black holes.
Well, God, so many questions.
Me too.
To just tie all of these threads together, why did you do this?
That's actually really weird.
I mean, I think that's where this is really all going.
So back to the fictional universe of Exogen.
Oh, great.
So you were
really
all
grappled onto
You
this
were all
one.
well. You got nothing to grab on.
Oh my God. He's grabbing onto empty space.
We got an hour and a half of Exogen.
All right.
So you were fired from this company, and what's next? Are you like?
Well, that remains to be
revolutionaries?
seen.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
the band's first kind of iteration was this hard sci-fi theme, and we took it from, well,
I don't even know where it came from.
it was a saying from that show.
What, Part Down?
party
Yeah,
down.
that's it.
Yes. And one of the characters that it like says, like he's talking to this girl about who's interested in him about fantasy and sci-fi. And long story short, she's talking about dragons. He's like, nah, swords, dragons, all that shit, that's all fantasy. I'm into hard sci-fi.
And we sampled that. We used to sample it in the beginning of our shows and start it that way. And so, yeah, that
was
must be how
before
it
me.
started.
And I
right?
think literally from that phrase, we just kind of were like,
ran
we're
with
space
it.
now.
Yeah, we ran with it. But my interpretation of the whole space thing concerning Exogen, maybe even, is that we are more sort of like we crash landed in America here, and that's what happened to us. So maybe we left the Exogen system or whatever it is, and now we're here on Earth and we're coming to mess you guys up, type of thing. So,
Are you aliens underneath skin suits right now, would you say?
no, this is how we look.
is how you look.
Realistically, in reality, most extraterrestrials look like humans.
Yeah.
So, we kind of blend in a little bit better than you might imagine.
Yeah, think of it like Russian, Chinese, just, other planet, Alpha Centauri. It's just all.
Yeah,
Dennis
exactly.
Rodman.
Ooh, yeah, good one. We
This
like
is a
Dennis
common
Rodman.
misconception about
Yeah.
extraterrestrials.
Right.
So I suppose my question about, believing in extraterrestrials is a silly one now because you are
We're here.
here.
We've been here among you guys.
What's left to believe?
Yeah. Going into this question, Tom, or this interview, Tom, did you believe in extraterrestrial life? Now that it's been confirmed.
Yes.
I did,
You did.
especially from Alpha Centauri, because quite frankly, I saw The Last Starfighter in the 80s, and they dealt with that whole issue there.
Fuck yeah.
So, yeah.
Agreed.
That's a film, The Last Starfighter?
It is. It's a film.
What happens in
I
that
think it was
film?
Robert Preston's last film, as a matter of fact, and I love that guy. He was the Music Man in the early 60s.
I'm totally with you on that one. What are we talking about? The barbershop stuff? The train intro?
Oh, God. Don't get him on the
Now he's
barbershop.
going on the
God.
What about the barbershop? What
But
about
this
the
guy does
barbershop?
barbershop.
What?
He
Do
does
it.
his barbershop.
Do it.
Go ahead. Do it, Miles. Do it.
4 voices at once.
Do it.
Yes.
do one of the
Oh.
Look,
We can harmonize with you.
Yeah, I got
twins
you.
living in River City and Mayberry. That's they sent me on the river on the road for 3 years in my van looking for that.
For
In
Gary,
town-
Indiana?
Oh, well, no, they were in River City. Gary, Indiana was where
Oh.
We're talking about a movie still?
we are talking about a movie.
We're talking about the music, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well,
But you really ought to give Iowa a try. That's a smoking tune, by the way. We can stand touching noses for a week at a time and never see eye to eye. Who wrote that line? What a great fucking line! I love that.
this is an example of the
I
great
am
culture
so
we
with
have here on planet Earth.
Yeah.
So are you going to sing something?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Sure.
Pressure.
My wild Irish rose, the dearest flower that grows. You may search everywhere, but none can compare with my wild Irish rose. Dude.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I actually
Absolutely.
I sing with a chorus up in San Francisco called Fog
super
City
serious.
Singers. So,
Spectacular.
thanks.
Yeah, I don't even know how we got on it. Exogen to
Yeah.
barbershop quartets.
I
But
think we're trying to go away from Exogen, basically.
Yeah. We're like,
Anything to get us away.
and
We left
and
the
now
plate.
you're
We
gonna
left
do a
Exogen.
backflip.
Yeah.
Guys,
yeah.
I got a couple of things to
Yeah.
talk to you about later.
This band has a song called SNES. That is an acronym for Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Is that correct?
Correct.
Has everyone at the table played this gaming system?
Correct.
Yeah.
far as
It was
I
hard to
know.
find because those came out a long time ago.
Yeah, and
You know,
you're,
we're
you're
more
a younger,
recently
you're
here.
a younger man.
Yeah, well, we're recently on Earth, so it's kind of hard
Good question.
to find.
How old are all of you, extraterrestrials?
Right.
Well,
57.
yeah. I don't even know the.
218.
How many times does our planet go around the sun?
It's
A lot
their
faster, right?
planet.
Asking
No,
a
I
lot
know,
of
but
questions. I
this
know
one-
the
this
answers.
Yeah. I'm in the 60 at least.
We see an interview on planet Earth. It's a question and answer thing.
In
I know.
Earth.
Yeah, so
Oh.
that's maybe the misconception you had going into this thing.
That's fair.
Anyway, so you're older.
Yeah,
than
yeah,
you
we're
would
definitely
appear.
older. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I think depending on
sure.
which direction you go around the sun, you might get younger. Is that correct?
Yeah, Oh, with space travel and stuff
Oh, is
like
this
that
all,
too? Maybe.
is this
yeah.
all Star Trek?
And you know, this
Could
actually plays
be,
into
yes.
this plays into a question that T-Pain had on a radio show recently, where they asked him to ask a question to the general audience, and he was like talking about how how like if you time travel, when you go back in time, does the Earth also go back in time space with you, so it meets you at that place in time space? Because if it doesn't, is that why we don't know that time travel works? Is because everybody who goes that far back just dies in the vacuum of space.
Oh
almost
yeah, you were
immediately.
talking about that the other day.
Or just ends up back on Earth at the same time, which I guess would kind of be anticlimactic.
That would be so
Quite-
boring.
quite,
Yeah.
Did anybody ever play the game on SNES called Chrono Trigger?
Oh no, but I
little
want
bit,
to.
yeah.
Okay, well, this is a good game. Do you like video game music, by the way?
Oh,
Because I
yeah.
love video game
Oh,
music.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
My favorite song from Chrono Trigger is the Frog theme, and I'd like to play some of it for you
Is
now.
that from Frogger?
No, the character is named Frog, and when he enters, this triumphant music plays, and I think it's fucking sick. And I just wanted to play it with you because your song SNES reminded me of that.
Yeah.
I mean, are you
Nice.
feeling
Yes.
how triumphant this song is? It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
you just saved your whatever.
This should
Very
be like
medieval.
This should be like our entrance song. like our entrance song.
I can send you the file.
yeah,
if you want.
please do. Please do.
And we'll just let it play out
Yeah.
until.
Speaking of video game music, actually, I really like. Everyone really likes the Zelda video game music, but I found this album last year by a guy named Mort Garson. If you ever heard of him, and he has an album called Plantasia. And it's basically like it was made in the 60s, I think, the late 60s, and it's all electronic music, really ahead of its time. And there was one song that played, and I was like, that is from Zelda. Amazing. The whole album is incredible.
We're listening to
but
Mort
there-
Garson Plantasia.
But if you skip ahead to, I think, the third or fourth song, it starts out and you'll hear it. It's Zelda. And I found out that the guy who made the music for Zelda was obsessed with this album and made the Zelda music based on this album. I was blown away.
You're blowing my mind right now.
Yeah.
This is so good.
So one of those songs is really Zelda-like. But
This was kind of Zelda-like, honestly.
yeah.
This is the fairy fountain right now.
But this is like perfect morning music. Yeah.
Does SNES have any sort of story or tale behind it?
Well, to me, no. Personally, no. Like, you know what?
fine.
I'm gonna keep it real. I think it's the
Keep it
same
real.
for everyone on here. Like, I just come up with the stuff that I'm gonna come up with, and I'm not necessarily paying attention to themes or the song titles per se.
Yeah.
So so that's why like you listen to that song, and if you hear the lyrics in it, they have nothing to do with Nintendo or anything like that.
Yeah.
But it definitely is sci-fi themed, I'd say.
Yeah,
but
I can feel it.
yeah, no, it has nothing to do with
How's it
SNES.
themed in
Yeah.
sci-fi, though? I mean,
Well, I think the words or something. I forget how it goes, but
Well, it's sort of.
it's basically
evokes,
about like a space dragon, sort of like hunting a person down, type of thing.
see,
I
that's a
think.
story, though.
Yeah.
That's fucking
Yeah.
interesting.
Right.
A
Yeah.
space dragon. Now, have you all encountered these space dragons in the wild, or have you just been taught to
Did
avoid
this happen
them?
on your planet?
Not here. It doesn't happen
No,
here.
that's why you're out and exploring.
Yeah, I haven't seen it here yet.
But I mean, you've had it happen in previous.
oh yeah, definitely.
Well, with our
definitely.
old job with Exogen.
Yeah.
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 And what is the
Don't
relationship?
bring up Exogen again. No, I'm just
It's in
kidding.
the past.
I love what a clusterfuck we are. I love you all.
Yeah, but couldn't you get like dragon eggs from online from Exogen?
What is your relationship with dragons when you were working for that company? I mean, were they to be feared? Did you ruthlessly hunt them down? Who is more
Right.
afraid of who? You of the dragons,
You know,
or the dragons
honestly,
of you?
it would probably be mostly the dragons afraid of us because we would have to use their teeth to make weapons from. You know, we did work for a weapons manufacturer. Is the end result. So they were definitely scared of us. They knew what we were coming for.
Do you feel like there is blood on your hands working for a weapons manufacturer?
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, for sure.
As we go down the list, the band has a song called Goose Steppin'.
Oh yeah, that was another fun one. But mostly it's a great lyrical song. But I named it just because I just liked the
Let's go into that.
stylings of it. But
Well, lyrically, it has nothing to do with the title. I have no idea what I wasn't even thinking about it at all.
Ooh, can I interject on that
what,
one real
What?
quick? The actual full name of that song is Goose Steppin' Wolf.
that's not true.
Goose stepping.
It actually is true.
I named that song. That's my song.
We were making a pun on the band
So
Steppin'
they
Wolf.
must have.
Oh, I would like to vote for that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's
Nick.
that's not
got
the name of the goddamn song.
It's not
shortened.
what it's about either. The song
Let's
actually.
talk about what it's about, though.
The song. I'm almost a little like I don't even know if I want to like talk about it on here because it's sort of. It's super personal for me, at least, just because So the song literally is about. I mean, the backstory of it in my head was like, it's in the future, and it's in an earthly society where like basically everyone has to, learn how to pilot a spaceship, because that's where humanity has ended up, and it's not about driving cars anymore. It's about having to fly, and the song is like written from the perspective of someone who is afraid to fly, and they don't. You can't make them do it, and I won't, and I refuse, and I want to stay down here where it's solid, and but allegorically or whatever it's really about my brother, because
Cat's out of the bag.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm just gonna go for it. I love my brother to death, but he's only a year younger than me, and he's just had. Problems moving out into the world, I guess. He hasn't gone out and done his thing yet. We both have problems with anxiety. Like my heart right now is just like, so a lot of it is sort of about him and me, and just the fear of becoming an adult and moving out into the world, and just wanting to say, no, I don't want to do that. I want to stay right here. And I want it to be easy and simple, and not complicated and moving closer to death and higher into the sky. So yeah.
I appreciate you showing that. And, I can cut that out if it feels too personal. No, truly. But you love your brother, right?
I love him to death.
And
he's one of my best friends.
And that's where that song comes from,
yeah,
right?
it was, like my understand, because I know how hard it is, and I know how scary life is, because we all do it every day, and it just was sort of like a tribute to him, and just the struggle that I understand that he has, yeah. Like start crying a little bit. Anyway.
I just love that he was able to make the trip from your planet home to here.
Yes, I don't go anywhere without him. At least planet hopping.
Well, while we kind of move past the songs and get closer to winding down,
yeah.
I really love kind of the glimpse we had at this band. I mean, the way that there's like so much fun stuff in there, but also like so much, deeply personal stuff that can almost bring you to tears. I think that's a really good snapshot. I mean, you take this stuff very seriously, but also it's fun.
It's also very different for everybody. Like, we don't have that sort of band banner that we sort of all rally under, and we definitely try to just really be individual with the music and such. So all those things that they're talking about are totally true, and it sort of emboldens the whole band because of it. We all have our individual thing that we're trying to bring to the table to shape everything. Either if it's political or sort of very personal and creative and allegorical, or if you just want to make like face melter psych music too. Which
is valuable, but for the interview section, those people don't get a lot of play.
They don't. Yeah, they don't.
Your time to shine, face melters, is the performance.
Right.
And shine you shall. I imagine when you crash landed here, did you crash land here, by the way?
Yeah.
You did crash land
I
here.
don't remember.
In Alabama, I remember.
Well, maybe you hit your head or something.
I know my knee hurt.
Yeah, well, certainly, it's a long way to travel.
Crash.
It's a bumpy road. You, at some point, became aware of proto-punk.
Yes.
Proto-punk.
Yes.
This is a genre that inspired this band. Would you say that's true?
Well, just to kind of echo what Nick was saying, I think we all kind of have an individualist thing that we bring to the table with the music. So while I think we all definitely pay a lot of homage to proto-punk, I feel in a lot of ways like a little more cemented in it.
Yeah, that's definitely more your style.
Yeah, there's just like bands like Wire.
So
and,
what is proto-punk for people who don't know?
Well, I mean, it literally just means prototype punk. It was everything that was coming out in like.
I usually say like Stooges or something
Yeah, it was
like that.
it was
Early
pretty much like
Stooges or
late
something.
'60s, early '70s bands that were not trying to be punk. I think the best definition of like a proto-punk band in my mind is there was the band called Death, which was from Detroit, and like they were these three brothers.
Smoking band.
Yeah, and they were killer, and the whole idea that they were going for is they just wanted to sound like Thin Lizzy, and they really missed the mark on that one, and literally kind of invented that style, in their own way. But nobody heard about them until I think the 2000s when people started finding their albums, and it was put on the internet, and people found out about it. At that time, the lead singer had already passed, and so now the iteration of the band is the two of the brothers who just carry on.
So what's fascinating about this term, because I hadn't heard it before tonight, is that it's sort of one of those things where when they were playing, they weren't called proto-punk. It was after the fact that people looked back and they're like, oh, okay, this was a proto-punk band. This was a proto-punk band.
Yeah.
The most fascinating thing I learned in the lead up to this interview, because I was researching proto-punk, was that one of the earliest written uses of the term punk rock was by critic Dave Marsh, who used it in 1970 to describe the group Question Mark and the
Oh, I
Mysterians,
love that band.
who had scored a major hit with their song 96 Tears in 1966.
Oh, I love this song. This is my steez. This is what I'm about. Yes. I have this on a 7-inch from the day.
Somebody
too.
labeled this song punk rock.
It was the first one.
It was an attitudinal thing.
You damn kids and your rock music.
Right?
And in the same vein, I think there was an older gentleman I was talking to probably about 6 years ago now, and he was saying how he was vehemently defending that Link Ray was the first punk musician.
Oh,
and
punk.
Yeah, and I was like, I didn't really know Link Ray very well, and I wouldn't agree with that statement from where I'm sitting now. But it kind of
Southern metal.
I think a lot of the things that it brings up though is kind of this idea of like what is the punk spirit, to a degree. Like what does it mean to like, do you have to play the music necessarily? Do you have to just have that kind of like that attitude or that approach? Or
That might also speak to our theme a little bit in that even before this interview, I was thinking a lot about how we tie all this together, and I think most of that really comes from none of us individually wanting to make something that has to be some way or not.
Yeah.
It sounds really cliche, but I don't know. It's I've got my own things I like to do and how I can give musically, just like these guys all do, and somehow the fact that we make something cohesive out of anything at all is like mind-boggling,
Well, because we have totally different musical backgrounds and interests. Like, I don't like the same music he likes. He probably doesn't like the same music I like. I don't like the same music she likes. It's kind of weird, but it works.
There's overlap, but it's not. It like the core, I think, of each of us is totally different, and I agree. Like, it's just what makes us what we are as a band.
It's and that there's a friendship thing too. Maybe that's just me thinking that, and you guys are gonna roll your eyes at me.
I mean, I don't like any of it.
but no, I like
Friendship.
that vibe. Yeah.
But really though, I think that's what makes us better. Is that what continues to make
us better. We're better than you.
We're
better than all of you guys.
Better and continue to grow is just that like we have all these different influences and.
It makes for really weird songs. That's for sure.
We've got some weird ones that we're working on, and it just keeps getting.
I really want to ask: was Third Rock from the Sun actually about you guys?
It also makes for weird interviews too.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Miles and John Lithgow have a lot more
just
in
gonna
common
say
than
that.
you
Get
think.
out of my head. Get out of my head. John Lithgow is a bibliography of me.
Yeah.
Miles,
biography. not
Miles, we discussed in the beginning of this that you had a good podcast voice, and boy, that prompt you just did right there was like the best one to conclude everything we've done. So thank you for taking over on that. I did have a kind of a throwaway question, which is, will you all end your days on the planet Earth now that you're here, or is this just a chapter in your life and you will do something else?
Well, I mean, personally, I like what we're doing here. And, it's been a good year since I joined, and I want to see what we can keep doing with it.
I'm planning on
So-
taking over this place and burn it to the ground,
Yeah.
doggy. So I'm taking him with me. So yeah, I'm here.
That's
You're
a
gonna have
punk
to
spirit
hurry or we're
speaking.
gonna do it
Yes,
ourselves.
yes.
I've always said, live fast, die young, and just leave just an awful looking fucking corpse. So I'm gonna run with that.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm going to go with our first album's called Encounter, and I'm not really 100% sure. We'll just keep going until we figure out if it's time to leave.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Moonsick, for joining us tonight. This
Thanks
is
for
a
having us.
band that people in our community are really excited about. And I was really thrilled when you reached out to me to do this. So here we go. We've documented what you are doing in this era on this planet.
Yikes.
And that's very exciting. So speaking of which, a performance by the band, Moonsick, is coming up next.
Cheers.
Thanks again, everyone.
See how they do it on Alpha
Thank you.
Centauri.
Thank you, guys.